It is, what is it today? It's November 13th. It's 2 days after Veterans Day. Kyle, I know, you know, I talked to you some about it, but I've done some reflection in general on having been Veterans Day this week about like what that means to me or like why it's important or any of that sort of stuff. Um, Maybe we could take a step away from our normally scheduled program and just have a conversation about that. I think for me, it's been like a helpful exercise to actually spend some time reflecting um, this year.
I must have missed that one. I didn't realize that it was Veterans Day. I thought we had an extra long holiday for the Marine Corps birthday, which is on November 10th. So
Yeah.
I guess we'll share with the rest of the veterans, but let's keep it on what matters. The Marine
Yeah.
Corps 250th birthday.
All right. Well, just so you know, Veterans Day was in fact this week. I,
Okay.
I will say I was trying to do that reflection, and like really be thoughtful, but my phone just kept pinging with Marine Corps memes and gifs. That
Yeah.
you were. I feel like that is the way you people celebrate that holiday is by
Oh
just
yes.
meme. You've got some factory, I guess, of Marine Corps vets that they are producing these memes and gifs and distributing them to you guys for you to bombard the rest of us.
Well, it's the only kind of ambush that we're legally allowed to do these days. So we are laying in wait in preparation for the Marine Corps birthday, and then we suppress or get suppressing fires, overwhelm overwhelm the enemy. So yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess mission accomplished. At least in your AO, I feel like you did a good job. Uh, but having said that, I think for me, as I kind of thought about it, um, so I've been out now for like 8 years probably, and haven't really thought all that much about being a veteran. I've kind of been heads down, been working. I mean, obviously, I have thought a lot about my identity as a Green Beret,
Yeah.
but kind of that little bit of crossover there where like, well, like that was a thing I did at some point, you know, and I am a veteran. I'm part of this group. Like, what does it mean? I think the thing that came up for me, couple things, um, really enjoy like this one. I guess one part of it is almost like the speed of trust that you can have with other vets.
Yeah.
Like even in a work context, right? I mean, obviously work with a lot of vets, um, both internally and at partner companies, and there's just always kind of this little bit, speed of trust is probably the best way to describe it. But it's kind of like a known entity, and like I really, I really enjoy, you know, being in business with vets. I think that's a massive privilege to me. I feel like I count it as a blessing.
No, 100%. I think it's there's a shared experience, which then provides a shared context, from which to operate from. And so you can have all sorts of different people from all different parts of walks of life, but you have this kind of commonality around what is it to be mission oriented, or and the way that we describe it, outcome oriented, in a way that instantly resonates with somebody because you have that shared context or that shared experience, that can be really powerful.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I enjoy that part of it. Obviously, love what I did while I was in. One of the sentiments I saw out there that like definitely struck home for me, as I was just kind of looking at some other buddies and stuff they were saying, and it was basically like, dude, it was a massive opportunity. Like I got to do all sorts of like really cool stuff. Know you did too. Met awesome people. Learned a ton about, you know, leadership, like managing myself, you know, that sort of stuff. And, it's like people say thanks to vets. And like one of those sentiments was like, thank you. thank you that like I had that opportunity to do that,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's probably very few places where you get thrust into some of those positions, situations, experiences, and even just outside of combat, right, where it's leadership positions, responsible for very very large sums of money or equipment, people's lives, at what is really a young age, coming out of a lot of us coming out of high school and type of thing, traveling the world. I mean, you look at some folks that have never left their city, never left their state, never left the country. So very, very fortunate. Still something that I look back on with a lot of both pride and thankfulness, or great, with being grateful.
Yeah, for sure. That's been a lot of my thoughts. I mean, do acknowledge that you didn't actually know it was Veterans Day this week. The Marine Corps birthday is truly all that mattered to you all week long.
Yeah, it is. It is quite the religious event for the Marine Corps, and I think even when I was spending some time reflecting, and I talked about it on our All Hands, it was actually I spent the better part of a day trying to figure out how I could talk about the Marine Corps birthday in a business context, as an excuse to talk about the Marine Corps birthday. And in all seriousness, I think the thing that I had landed on was the not just the Marine Corps but the military, and how to tie this back to business is that the military has evolved obviously over hundreds of years or thousands of years, outside the American context, but in general, conflict and warfare has evolved. And how does an organization stay relevant, stay at the front, stay kind of on top of things, while also not being caught in this churn of chaos that can happen when you're just changing for change's sake. Mm-hmm. And so, thinking about that from a business context of, having really strong foundations, it's almost counterintuitive, where sometimes having those strong foundations is what allows for that agility or for evolution without it just, totally demolishing the house, whether that's core values or a shared set of principles or some things in your company that are timeless, that you can hold on to while there's more turbulent things of, we have to pivot here, or, the process that we've done for 20 years no longer applies. And without just totally culturally wrecking your organization, you need to have something that you can, grab onto as you make that kind of transition and transformation.
Yeah. I mean, I think something really cool that, you were talking about that the Marine Corps does that helps with that is kind of this older to younger generation connection, like this symbolism of the, what is it? It'll be like at any Marine Corps birthday celebration, like the oldest person who's there and the youngest person who there's like this handoff sort of thing.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And of all things, it's cake, right? Where, the first piece goes to the guest of honor, but then the next thing goes to the oldest Marine in attendance. And then that oldest Marine hands it to the youngest Marine in attendance. And that's to symbolize, handing that heritage, that legacy, to the next generation, and again, it's what do you bring forward, and what do you have to evolve into the future. And that's a tough thing to navigate, but it's really important. It's really important for an organization to have some type of, almost like what we talked about in the beginning. It's that shared history, that shared context that you can immediately build trust and a team around, while also looking towards the future on how do we attack the next challenge? How do we stay relevant as a business, and those types of things? For sure. I mean, look, the culture of the Marine Corps has got to be the
strongest, like most cemented sort of culture in the world, maybe. I don't know. I mean, it is, and to your point, it's timeless, right? I mean, but it's about getting those foundations, like the appropriate breadth and depth, like you said, a foundation. So it's been good. I think it's been a good week to like reflect on it. I've enjoyed, having some of these conversations with you and Nick and some other guys. I called up, some old buddies I served with and chatted with them. I mean, it's been good for me. I would actually like say probably one of the best Veterans days I've ever had. I don't think I've like been intentional about reflecting on it previously. And so I'm feeling pretty good about that.